Hey y'all, it's Mike with Class People TCG, bringing you my EmperorGreymon deck profile with a side deck for the BT7 format. Kind of getting ready for the Dallas Digimon Fest. This is a jumping off point. It's a good starting place if you're trying to build the deck around it. But this is pretty consistent, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. First, we have our three of our new Flame Dramon reveal top 4 cards. You can add one hybrid, one Susano, or one Takuya, and then on deletion you can play Takuya without paying its memory cost. Pretty good. I do like searcher ability from him. We have a lot of searchers going forward. The BT5, BT6 Flame Dramon, which has gives inheritable piercing, and then 2 of the BT4 Flame Dramon. So this little guy, he allows you to reveal top 3 and add a hybrid and a tamer, so a little bit better, but I've been running him at 2 instead of 3, 3, and 3, or 4, 4, 4. But 2 seems to work out pretty good, because we do have our 3 Pokemon, who is a searcher for hybrids, so solid card. I'd rather run 3 of him than 3 of him. For my little tech options, I am running 2 Gossamon. One, you can Digivolve since I'm running red. You can Digivolve on top of him, but his his on-play effect, or his play effect, is the main reason why I'm running him. Your opponent can't reduce cost to Digivolution cost. So it's really good against green, blue, any of the hybrids that say, hey, drop it down to 1, can't do that. Like with JP with green, going from Digivolve on top of him for 1 for Beetlemon. He stops that. And then 1 Terriermon for those matchups you get if you do run against a blue hybrid slash bond type deck, because they are kind of floating around, and this kind of prevents that. So it's just kind of something that I'm playing around with, and might not be relevant going forward, but right now it is pretty prevalent, at least in early game. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our champions. All going to be hybrids. We have 2 Burning Greymon, which gives plus 3 KDP. You got 3 Agunimon, just your generic hybrid, and then 4 of the new Burning Greymon. So this new Burning Greymon, what he does is, if you can play him for a 2 cost if you have Red Tamer, and then if he has Takuya or as a hybrid, you can pop a 4K DP or less Digimon. So that is a really good option to have. Really good removal. We don't have a whole ton of removal. This is a hyper aggressive deck. So we're swinging in once we get either the old Burning Greymon, or once we start hitting our Aldemons, we're swinging in hoping to hit 2-3 checks and trying to win out real fast. So going into our Aldemons, actually, we're running 8 of them, so 4 of the new one, which gives you it played on top of a tamer, or has hybrid in its name, you get plus 4 KDP per turn, or on your turn, so that's pumping him up to 8K. So swinging in with him, and if he's on top of a Takuya, then that's just pumping up even more because he gets an extra security check. And then his inheritable, it doesn't check security check, so it's basically a delicate plan built in whenever you go into your EmperorGreymons. And then we have our other Aldemons back from BT4, which get security attack plus 1 and then plus 4 KDP. Bumps them up to 11K. If you're running which I am, the Atomic Inferno, it bumps them up to 14K. And I mean, from there, you're running 2 checks at 14K or 15K, depending on which egg you have. Next, we're going into our EmperorGreymons. So we are running 4 of them. 1 is a proxy. I have 1 more Greymon as a proxy, but these are our only 4 level 6s. I just don't have a 4th one for him yet. But if you're not familiar with EmperorGreymon, he does have Blitz, and if he's blocked, you gain extra memory based off of how much he's blocked by, if that makes sense. And then finally, the last card, or last Digimon we're playing in this one, is going to be Omnimon. I have tried both Omnimon and Susanomon, and I'm fine with both. I like both. I like Omnimon slightly more because he goes for game, and I like 2 options when when playing for game and swinging for game. I tried to run 2 of, it felt a little too much. 1 of sometimes doesn't feel enough, but this one, he's really solid and really hard to remove. So I've been running him as just a game ender since he has Blitz and can't be deleted, especially if you have a Mega under him, which you will. Next, we're going to go on to our options. We have 4 Atomic Infernos, which gives security attack +1 and as well as 3 KDP. If this is hitting your security, all your Digimon on your side of the field per your turn get security attack +1. So really great, awesome, especially if it gets hit in security, so it's a little bomb in security. If they can't wipe you out that turn, chances are you're going to take them out next. 1 Atomic Blaster, 1 Gaia Force, and then 1 Trident Revolver. I've been playing this one only for the effect of you get to play a tamer afterwards, so it's not terrible. I mean, not saying you can't swap it out for another Gaia Force or another Atomic Blaster. I honestly would want to run more Atomic Blasters if I had the room, but right now I don't have the room, and depending on the matchup decides what I'm actually going to be doing with it. And then next up is going to be our tamers, just finishing it out. We're going to have 3 memory setter tie, and then security attack +1 if you have 4 or more. So it really comes in handy, especially towards once you get your stack built up a little bit. And then Takuya, who gets +2k, and then if your Digimon has 10k or more DP, it gets security attack +1. So it really bumps up your Burning Greymon, so you can swing in for 2 checks with your Burning Greymons or really whoever else you're going to be running. So he's really kind of the heavy hitter, and you want to be evolving certain cards on top of him versus other ones, but I'll make another video kind of going over what or how to play this deck if you're not familiar with it. And finally, let's go ahead and jump into our side deck. This side deck is still being worked out, but I did just kind of want to show, hey, this is my base side deck, and this entire deck will change probably every day for the next 2 weeks while I'm trying to prepare. So right now we're running a Flame Memory Boost, Security Attack +1 versus the Red Memory Boost, which is a Searcher, but we already have a ton of Searchers. We have the Flamemons, we have the Pokemons. We're set on Searchers. Next we have a Gravity Crush. If you do need it and you do need to grab in, or do need that extra 2 memory so that way you get an extra swing or an extra Digivolve, it's there, especially if you're going against a matchup where you do need that memory, where you're being choked, or if you can't get cards out. Gaia Force, if you're going against security control and you just need something big to pop them. 1 extra tie if you do need a tamer. He is a flex card, you don't have to be running him, but I've been toying around with more tamers and less level 3s, but I like building up a little bit more, just because if I go in, I swing, and I get extra off the eggs, then awesome. We have 2 analog youths, because we're running a little bit of a white package in this. We have 60% win rate, useful for Susanamon, which goes into a couple of the next cards. We have 1 emergency program shutdown, which really good stalling a turn. And then, so this is why I run the 60% win rate is for Susanamon. He's a lot to play, or a lot to go on top of, reduces the cost, everything along those lines. Susanamon is great. I think for red decks, Blitz Omnia is better because it is win for game that turn, and you want to win as fast as possible since you're hyper aggressive. And then finally, 1 black Mechanorimon because he was great in BT6. There's still going to be bonds going around, so that's one thing that I would definitely keep in mind when building your side deck. He's a really good option. If you're not going to be running Susano, then you can run some other cards in your side deck. If you take out some of the white package, that really frees up a pretty good amount of your side deck, especially if you're trying to build up into your main or have more tech cards. And then lastly, I wanted to bring up is my babies. So we have 1 Capurimon, he's the new one, which if you have Tamer in play, you get +1 KDP, which is going to come into effect a lot. The other 4 I'm running is Demimera. I like to max out on eggs. I've seen many people running 4 eggs because it's a little bit slower of a game compared to Bond and what we just got out of, or the meta we just got out of. So Demi-Mera is good for swinging in. If you want to run either or, that's great. 4 and 1, 3 and 2, 2 and 3, it don't matter. I'm honestly leaning more towards running more of him, but it hasn't been that big of a problem when swinging in or playtesting or anything along those lines. But I did just kind of want to touch on that before we kind of close up. And so that's going to be my deck profile for EmperorGreymon. There are a few changes you can make if you do wish to. One, which I didn't find too much it to be too effective, is running the Agumon with plus 2k when attacking from the starter deck. It can be helpful, but for the most part, you don't really go on top. You don't really build up in your raising stack, but sometimes you do, and it's nice to have. If you wanted to run another ultimate, you can always run Rise Greymon. I've been trying to find a way to get him in because he's a really solid card, but I just can't justify it. A lot's lost whenever you're going to run Rise Greymon versus something else. Even though you play a tamer, I mean, you can justify it for yourself, get a good feel for it. One thing, and then finally for touching on megas, if 4 is a low count, in all honesty, if you wanted to run 4 in an Emperor Grey, or in a War Greymon, you can, but right now, I've been testing it with 4 and liking it, and my War Greymon's been a proxy, and since he doesn't check security, or effects and security when swinging in, again, another delicate plan, so it works out perfectly. So if you want an extra full or an extra mega, you can throw him in, but this has been working out pretty good for me. So if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below, send me a message. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Thank you all for watching.